Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the CERN 2020 Grantee meeting. Over the course of the last couple of days, we've had the luxury and the privilege of talking to some extraordinary people, and our next guest certainly falls into that category. Jake Javier was a participant in the very first clinical trial that's ever funded, and we're delighted to have him join us now. Hello, Jake. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm grand, thank you. So if we could start with you describing what happened to you on the day before you graduated high school.
Yeah, so it was the last day of school, day before graduation, like you said, and went to a friend's house, and we were all swimming, and I dove into a pool and ended up hitting my head on the bottom, breaking my neck. And I was immediately paralyzed from the neck down and flown to a nearby hospital to have emergency stabilizing surgery.
I can't even begin to imagine what that was like. When you woke up, I mean, what were they telling you?
It's interesting because you think like it'd be kind of like a movie where you get that moment where it's like you're not going to walk again, but it's not quite like that because, with everything going on, it's just your initial instincts is to try and survive, honestly. I mean, I was at a point where I was on a ventilator and I couldn't breathe on my own, and so there was so much going on that I didn't really have time to really think, about what was going on. It was just, all right, next step, move on, keep going.
And when did you hear about the clinical trial?
So my whole time frame has shifted with, all the trauma and the medication I was on. So hard to say exactly what day, but I know it was really early on. I think it was about a week after my injury, about when I started becoming more conscious, and just got a call about it from Dr. Steinberg, and he kind of started to explaining it and telling us all about it. And it was just a whole lot of information that was coming in, but we were very glad to get that call.
It must be really hard, though. I mean, you're in the middle of a crisis, and then you get this call, and you're having to make a decision about something that is experimental. This was the first time this had been tried in people. How do you go about doing that? I know you and your family are very close, and so obviously you worked with them. But what did you talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the type of trial is new and everything, but at this point, everything was new for us. We had no idea where we were going to go from here, no idea what the next steps were. So for us, we just saw, okay, there's this new thing. It's, of course, a clinical trial, so we don't know what's going to happen with it, but it's a bit of glimmer of a hope, And so we talked about it, and we thought we might as well take the chance and see what could happen, because we had no idea what the next steps were anyway. So we were explained about it very well by different doctors and everyone involved with the trial, and they were able to kind of give us assurance that this could be a very viable next step for us, so we decided to go forward with it.
So also the idea, though, that it might not work. I mean, so how important was it you to take part anyway, just in the idea that maybe it could work, but maybe whatever they learned might help other people as well?
Yeah, so everyone involved was really good about explaining that to us and saying, we have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, we have an idea, but, nothing could happen, or you could get a good recovery. But like I said, I mean, at this point, we knew that I was in a situation where, with the level of trauma that happened to my neck, where I wasn't expected to get a lot of recovery anyway. So we figured that I was in the perfect range where I was kind of like the best of the worst. That's what kept being told about me. It's like, I was in a worst case scenario, but I was young and, athletic and had the ability to have a high ceiling and a lot of potential for recovery. So when this came to us, we were like, okay, we might as well try everything we can.
Best of the worst. I don't think there's a category anyone ever wants to be in, is it? How much time? Yeah, I know that this was a kind of a very time sensitive decision. So how much time did you have to really decide?
So the actual surgery had to happen within 30 days of my injury. So our timetable was about 30 days, but on top of that, we had to actually apply to get it and actually qualify for the trial. So there was a lot of steps between then and the surgery. So while we had 30 days, it was kind of more of a time crunch than that, but it was still enough time to think about it. I mean, I wasn't doing anything else. So we were able to sit there and soak in all the information and really learn about all sorts of different things about it, and took our time in making the decision.
Once you'd had the surgery, the procedure, talk about the recovery. What happened afterwards?
So initially, I mean, the surgery wasn't too bad. It was just a day of recovery in bed. But then after that, I really started beginning my actual physical rehabilitation, and just kind of went to work every day. And we knew that while the surgery kind of helped stimulate recovery, it was also dependent on how much work I put into it. And so it was just going to PT and occupational therapy every day and working as hard as I can to try and get as much recovery as I could. So I spent the next 5.5 months in the hospital as an inpatient and just going through different therapies every day.
Yeah, I saw you at physical therapy. I saw how hard you were working and just how painful it seemed and how difficult. But I mean, you really stuck with it. At the time of the accident, you were on a scholarship to Cal Poly, a football scholarship to Cal Poly. What's happened since then?
So one thing I really worked hard for in the hospital was achieving my goal of going back to school. And the original goal was Cal Poly. Obviously, I couldn't play football anymore, but I was still pretty involved with the team. At least in my earlier years, I was going to the locker room with them and being on the sideline with them. So it's really great having the support of the team there still. And then in regards to actually going to school, I took a year off, gap year, ended up going to school the following year, and actually ended up changing my major. And that came out of the trial. In learning all the information I did about stem cells and research and science and everything like that, it kind of changed my mind on what I wanted to study, because originally I would just apply it as a mechanical engineer, just thinking, okay, I don't really know what I want to do, but I think I could be an engineer. But I ended up switching it to being a biomedical engineer. So it kind of gave me a new path, which is interesting and really lucky.
Are you enjoying it?
I am. I'm going into my 4th year now, so
Wow.
final stretch. I know, real world coming up, so not quite looking forward to that, but it's been a lot of fun and a great experience.
I think if you've got through this, the real world really won't hold too many challenges for you. So since your accident, you and your family have all become kind of advocates for stem cell research. How important has that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of stem cell research and any sort of science. I think that, we might as well try anything we can to help with people that are in, situations similar to mine. I've seen firsthand, not just in myself, but in other patient advocates, what great things stem cells can do for people. So I'm all for it. I mean, as much as I can do to help, I mean, it's the least I can do for all it's done for me.
And you're really a pioneer. I mean, one of the first people ever to try this approach. Talk about that role. How does that feel to you, being a pioneer in something like this?
I don't think it's quite hit me. I don't know if it'll ever quite hit me, the gravity of it. But what I am thankful for is all the hard work people put into it to getting to that. While I was one of the first people to actually receive the stem cells, I feel like all the work that went into it, and I'm just a small role in the big picture. All the researchers and scientists, the years it took to get to the point where it could actually be injected into me is quite humbling.
Small role, but a crucial role. I mean, you're the end user, so that's what this has been all about. So how are you today? Talk about your life today.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm going to my 4th year now. Really enjoying myself. I'm able to live independently, something that wasn't originally, very realistic due to my level of function. But I'm able to go through my day-to-day life. I live with roommates and live a pretty regular college life, and I have a lot of people to thank for that. But CERM and stem cells is up there because I didn't know what kind of recovery I would achieve, but I definitely outshined expectations. And I think a part of that is the trial, and a part of that is all the hard work that goes into it.
Great, Jake. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story with us.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.